Welcome to Talking with Santa at Waycross Community Media. I'm Santa's helper, Dana, and today we have Santa and Mrs. Claus here in our studio, and they are going to let us ask them questions. They're here during the busiest time of their year. And Santa, thank you so much. I know this is a really busy time for you to get to come to our studio.
Ho, 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 it's great to be here. We're always glad to come to the Waycross TV Santa Land every year. Santa and Mrs. Claus get so excited. Our only complaint is this year, we wish it was a lot colder and had more snow.
It's true. This year we had actual fog for you, and I feel like that might have been a little stressful because that's the kind of weather you had that made Rudolph so famous.
Yes.
And I thought it might be a little stressful to have fog when you came to visit.
When we brought the sleigh down this evening, we always land the sleigh in the park. And it was a real tough landing because there was no snow to slide on.
Oh yeah, that would make it a little bumpy. So we need some snow.
We need some snow.
Well, I want to thank you for coming because I know that as busy as this time of year is, you have been coming to Waycross since 1999, and I just really appreciate that you always take time to come to our studio to make sure the kids can ask their questions. So I'm going to take a minute to say, if you are watching this live on December 7th, then you can email your question to Santa. Now, you have to be 12 and under. These are for kids to email their questions to Santa. And you can send your email to santa@waycross.org. And if you're 12 and under, I will read your question right here. That's email for elf mail. I will get it right here on this magical elf mail receptacle, and I will be able to read your question to Santa. So let's talk about some of the things that are happening this year while we wait for more questions to come in. And we also have some questions already that we've gotten from a few brownies that live, young ladies that live in this area. But I want to know what you're hearing the most requests for this year. Every year it's something different.
Well, it seems to me that all the children, no matter what age they are, want more and more sophisticated electronics. I have every 5-year-old and 6-year-old in the community wanting telephones. And I tell all those children, telephones are not for 5- and 6-year-olds. But hopefully they'll get something that they enjoy.
The Legos are very popular again this year. They just stay right up there on the top of the list as well.
Yeah, the two top non-electronic toys are probably Legos, superheroes, and princess dolls. Probably not in any special order, depending on who wants them.
I love that Legos are always a good choice. Pretty much every age. I know grown-ups who would like Legos for Christmas.
Yes.
I know grown-ups that play with Legos all the time. I see them from the time they're little children till the time they get big. They want to have Legos and toys like Legos.
So I'll just add this. If you are a kid and you get Legos for Christmas, please let your parents play with them because they really wanted some and weren't sure who to ask for Legos for Christmas. So since you're 12 and under, you got to ask Santa. But the grown-ups, they don't always get to do that, so they might want to play with your Legos. I'm just going to put it out there. It's always a good idea to be nice to the grown-ups that want to play with Legos.
And make sure when you're playing with your Legos, you pick them all up. There's nothing like coming out of the bed to go to the bathroom and stepping on a Lego. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, if you want grumpy parents on Christmas Day, that just sounds like a terrible idea. The parents are the ones that have the snacks for you. You want them to be happy. Yeah. Pick up the Legos. Definitely pick up the Legos. Well, let's watch a quick question. I got to see some very talented Brownie Girl Scouts on Monday night at the Forest Park tree lighting, and they did a performance, and they're all ready to be your elves because they were already dressed up as very sharp-looking small elves. And a couple of these little elves had questions for you. So what I'd love to do is hear Maya's question for you so we can find out what the answer is.
That's fine. Are we going to play those so the people can see them on their computers or televisions?
Absolutely. We want everyone to see Maya's question, so take a look.
Can I look now?
Hi, My name is Maya, and my question for Santa is, how many presents does he make a year? What I want for Christmas is a new game.
Okay, thank you, Maya, for that question.
Maya,
Santa.
Maya, that's a very good question. And there's one real easy answer for that question. How many toys does Santa make a year? All of them. Little more complicated than that. There are millions and millions and millions of toys that go out to boys and girls. And I'm sure that you'll get a nice game for Christmas. But one thing, and I'll say it more than once tonight, all children get at least one book for Christmas.
That's excellent. I actually, as not being a child, hope that I get at least one book for Christmas too. So
Well,
I
there-
can
It's
hope.
always a good
I
idea.
can hope. Yes,
And,
yes.
And you're allowed to have more books if you want more books for Christmas, but at least one. Every child should get one book for Christmas.
That is excellent. And let me ask you this. So, how many toys you make for Christmas? Do you make the toys or do the elves make the toys? Is there a connection? How's that work?
Well, Santa Claus is past the toy making business himself, and that gets done. The toys get made by all of the elves. And guess who's in charge of all of the elves? Mrs. Claus. She keeps the elves in shape and assigns their jobs to them. Mrs. Claus, you want to talk about that at all?
Well, yes, I do keep the list for naughty and nice, but we don't. I'll be honest with you, most children try their best to be so good, and we really try not to put anybody on a naughty list. We try to keep them all on that nice list, and I keep their track of all the letters and all of the text and emails that we get at the North Pole, and then I make sure all the elves are in the right place to make the right toys for all the children. And it's a big job.
Now, if a child is on the naughty list, and here it is December 7th, the countdown to Christmas is on, is it too late to get off the naughty list?
It's never, never too late to be off the naughty list. And make sure you keep things straight at the house, pick up your toys, and do what Mom and Dad ask of you. And it does not take that much to get off of the naughty list.
That's good to know. I feel like that's something a lot of people are wondering right now. How do I get off this naughty list? Hopefully not that many of you. I'm sure not that many of you watching are on the naughty list.
But we get a lot of input from the elves in around your house.
Exactly.
A lot of times, the elves will send us information. And what's the most common information we get from the elves, Mrs. Claus?
That there is always a mess in the child's room. For some reason, they don't pick up toys or clothes or messes. And that's about the most common thing that the elves tell us about.
So you have one of the biggest intelligence networks
Yes.
ever. And this is the biggest
right.
thing we're getting from this network is your bedrooms are not clean. So that's good. That's good inside information here.
Yeah, we hear that a lot.
Okay. So that's the first thing the kids can do is work on their bedrooms. And are there any other tips for getting them off the naughty list?
Well, I like to think that all the children have to show a lot of respect to their parents. They should make sure that they hug their parents more than any other time of the year, especially at Christmas, because everybody likes hugs. Not only their parents, but their grandparents and aunts and uncles. Hug their parents and be nice to them.
And be good to each other if you have brothers or sisters. Make sure you are nice to them.
That can be kind of hard sometimes, being nice to brothers and sisters.
It is. That's what I said. They work very hard at being good this time of year, especially.
Okay, so it's not too late. They can still work on it. They can still get off the naughty list. That's very important. I hate to ask this, but could they still get on the naughty list? If they're on the nice list now, that they need to continue to behave, right?
Yes, you have to continue with good behavior to stay on that nice list.
Okay. I figure we should check because
That's
this time of year, there's a lot of sugar everywhere.
Exactly.
There's a lot of exciting things happening. And I feel like it's a little harder sometimes to stay on the nice list this
It
time of year.
definitely is.
Could just be me. I don't know. Could just be me.
Even sometimes Santa Claus strays a little bit, and he does something that Mrs. Claus doesn't like, and she straightens me out real fast.
That's really important for kids to hear. Everybody, even all of us,
Everybody.
even Santa needs to practice behaving. And you're helping.
Oh, definitely.
How about the elves? Do you have any difficulties helping the elves do the things they need to do?
Yes, the elves are very tricky, and they like to pull little stunts on Santa. And I have to keep after them because sometimes Santa laughs and sometimes Santa is not so happy.
Well, let me give you one example of that. Mrs. Claus told all the elves that were in the right department to work on making Elsa dolls because the princess dolls are popular and Elsa's very popular. And she told them to make Elsa dolls, but they made the Elsa dolls and they hid them all from Mrs. Claus. They tricked her. And then when she came back in to see what they were working on, they had this big, gigantic pile of Olaf dolls. And Mrs. Claus was really, really concerned that we wouldn't have enough Elsa dolls.
Really?
So she talked to the elves, and they said, "We tricked you, we tricked you." And they got all the dolls out, and there were Elsa dolls and Olaf dolls.
So they did what you asked them to,
Oh, yes.
but they made you sweat for a minute.
Oh, they certainly did.
They're tricky.
I mean, fortunately, Olaf dolls are pretty fun too.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. But not when they really, really want Elsa.
Not when you needed Elsa dolls.
That's
yeah.
right.
They just now. I have to ask you though. When you were done with that joke, were you able to just let it go?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Just checking.
Sometimes you have to let it go.
Yes. Just that seemed like the right question for that.
Just, yeah.
I want to hear. We got to hear from one more of those little elves.
Oh, that's nice.
So let's hear what Iceland's question was.
Okay, sounds great.
My name is Iceland, and my question is for Santa. How does he get into houses? And I want for Christmas is a Nintendo Switch.
Okay, we got your question, Iceland. How do you get in the houses?
Iceland, you know, traditionally Santa Claus likes to come down the chimneys as long as there's no fire in there. But Santa has little tricks that he can get past the fire without getting burnt. Now, the other way to get in the house, sometimes it's a lot trickier than I can explain. So some secrets are best kept, not spread around, but best kept. Sometimes if Santa gets in a problem, he rubs the side of his nose, thinks of a little trick, and he goes into the house. But I can't tell you all the tricks, otherwise you might set a trap for me to catch me.
Yes, and a lot of it is the Christmas magic.
Guess there's no other way to explain how that works. It's just the Christmas magic.
Magic.
I mean, you have to have some extra tricks.
Well, you got to have your tricks up your sleeve, otherwise you just won't get done with all that work on Christmas Eve.
That is an important question, though, because a lot of kids see all the pictures of you going down chimneys, and some of them worry that they live in a place that doesn't have chimneys, and how is Santa going to find me, or how is Santa going to get me my presents? So the lack of a chimney, is that a problem?
Oh, that's not a problem at all. Like I said before, Santa uses a lot of little different tricks, and he rubs his magic nose, and off he goes through the house, gets in with the toys. Sometimes it's hard squeezing those big toys in.
So is the key that your nose is magic, or is
Well-
there just an overall Christmas spirit?
It's overall Christmas spirit, but when Santa rubs his nose,
Okay.
magic things can happen.
I just had to ask because sometimes noses could be magic, and I was curious. We do have some emails starting to come in
Wow.
from kids who are watching, and they have questions for you. And this one is from Henry, who is 6, and David, who, okay. All right, now you know this elf needs glasses. Okay, these are from Henry, who is 6, David, who is 6, Clara, who is 2, in Midland, Michigan. And this is their question. They have 2 questions. The first one is, How many elves are there? I think this is for you, Mrs. Claus.
You know, I have lost track. There are so many at the North Pole, and our elves come and go. They have come up there just for a year, some of them, just to work for a year at the North Pole, and then they go home, and they love it there, but they also want to be with family and go home. Yeah.
I never thought. So not all elves work at the North Pole.
No, they when they come to the North Pole, they work, but they write in and they ask if they can come for a year and work with us.
Okay.
And we let them do that. Yeah,
So they can do other things.
Yes, yeah, just depending.
What are some of the other things that elves do that come spend time with you?
Or they'll work with our engineer elves or with some of our bakers or candy makers. They have different jobs that they would like to be with the other elves and help with.
And don't forget, some of them take care of the reindeer.
Oh yes, a big job. Big job.
So Henry and David and Clara, if you were an elf, you would have to think about what kind of elf job you would like to do the most. What kind of elf jobs are the most popular with the elves?
I think the toy making is probably the most popular. And those that have an eye for electronics, they love to make electronics, and they work very hard all together, and they'll switch off sometimes.
How long does it take an elf to learn how to do an elf job?
Well, it does take them a training period, and they're on probation, and they have, just like in life in the cities, they come and they have to learn, yeah.
If a little kid thinks, I would like to grow up and work at the North Pole, are there things that they can learn so that maybe someday they could come up and work? Or is it only an elf job?
No. They can write to Santa when they're older and tell him they would like to come and work with us.
And the elves use all of the different things that you learn in school. They learn their English classes, they learn their math classes because they got to do a lot of measurements. There are a lot of important things for them to do in school while they're here before they become elves.
Yeah.
So
And that's why it's important to study and behave at school, because you have to learn things to go on with your life, yeah.
It sounds like you probably need more engineer elves as more of the gifts are technological.
They
Yes.
they do.
That's
yeah.
all the same things in school. Okay.
But
so-
there's still puzzles and things that children love, and
and Legos,
oh
which we have established.
yes.
Right.
We know we love them. They do have another question. Their other question is, this is a great question. Do Santa and Mrs. Claus get presents too?
Well, I have to tell you, Santa and Mrs. Claus are big on presents. I like to have little gadgets like watches, and Santa got a new watch for Christmas this year. He got it early so he would be on time. Sometimes he still doesn't pay attention to it, but Santa got a watch. You want to tell him anything that you got for Christmas already?
Oh yes, I had gotten a new ring. I don't have it on tonight, but yes, and I love jewelry, and you can see my pearls. I love pearls. I love diamonds. I love any kind of jewelry.
Okay.
I have a question for Henry and David and Claire. I wonder if it's probably snowing up in Michigan, or is it warm like it is down here? But you can't answer me right now, but I'm sure it's probably still a little warm. And Henry and David, I think I remember seeing not too long ago, seeing your blog on the computer. I think you guys are the two guys that do the football picks, aren't you?
I bet they are.
Yeah, I bet you are. Is your sister, little Claire, is she starting to help you with those? We'll find out if she's any good at the same picks that you are. And living in Michigan, you're probably a Michigan fan. I think you were happy against the Ohio State game. Santa got to watch part of that. And the other thing is, you guys in Michigan are probably a little upset that Ohio State got back in the top 4.
We have all kinds of inside sports info from Santa here. Henry and David, Santa watches your program. I don't think you can have a cooler celebrity than that watching your program. And Clara, I hope you get in on their program too, or maybe you'll start your own. We'll have to see. Only time will tell.
That'll be fine.
And if you're watching this and you want to send back Santa information about what it's like today in Midland, feel free to keep sending your emails in. If you're watching live on December 7th, you can also send your emails to us right here in the studio, Elf Mail. This is Magical Elf Mail right here. And I will be able to ask your questions. It's santa@waycross.org, and that's only if you're watching live on December 7th. We have more questions, and are you ready for another one?
I'm ready.
Okay.
We're ready.
Yeah, because some of these questions are for both of you. Okay, this is a question for Santa from Davis. And it says, what should I tell the kids at school who tell me you're not real?
Well,
This is a really big question.
I'll tell you, Davis, make sure that you tell all the children that Santa Claus is real, because Santa Claus knows who your Meemaw was when she was a little girl, and they were friends. Santa Claus really liked your Meemaw a lot, but make sure that you know that Santa is a real person, and you can always come and see Santa Claus and pull on my beard. I'm a real person.
That's one way to find out. What would you tell Mrs. Claus? What would you tell the friends at school?
I would tell the friends at school that believing helps make Santa real, because he really does represent the spirit of giving, and that is what Christmas is all about. And if you believe in and want to give to other people, that you're ready for Christmas and you're ready to believe in Santa.
So let me ask you this. There is a movie, and I'm sure we could talk all night about which Santa movies are true and which Santa movies are not. But there is one movie that has Santa which talks about how important it is that everyone believes to help the sleigh go and to give it more magic and to go. Is that true? Does that help your sleigh have enough power to help everyone to believe?
That's extremely important. When Santa knows that all of the children are at home believing, it makes the sleigh go a lot quicker and it's easier to get his job done. Davis, I got one more advice for you. You ask your brother Nolan. He'll tell you that I'm real.
Okay, so Davis, it sounds like Santa knows your family pretty well. There's actually another part to his question, speaking of Meemaw. The other part of the question is also, if Meemaw gets me a Nintendo Switch, could you get me the light-up hand controllers?
Well, Davis, I can't promise you the light-up hand controllers. The Switch is a heck of a nice toy. So, if you get one, there's a chance you could get both, but I wouldn't promise it. Santa doesn't make any promises. He just does the best thing that he can do.
That's fair. And it sounds like at least two requests for a Nintendo Switch so far.
Oh, yeah. That's a
and of
popular
course,
toy this year.
We're just talking to a couple kids, but you're hearing from all of them.
Oh, lots.
Okay. All right. So now we know. That's one of the hot items. We have another email. This is from the Leesner family in Pittsburgh.
Oh.
And
That sounds to me like that's probably Connor and Jack and your little sister. Is she there?
yet this does have two. Kaylee.
Kaylee's there, I figured she'd be right there watching.
Also watching, also in on this email. So I have requests from all of them.
Okay.
Let's see. It says, Connor, who is 10, would like to ask for remote control toys and video games, which sounds fun to me too, to be honest, Santa. And also, his question is, do the elves get paid?
Yes, the elves get paid and they take vacations, and it's just the North Pole has to be run like a business because we are so busy. Everything would be chaos if we didn't have the law and order the way you have it here. Yeah.
Do Mr. and Mrs. Claus get vacation time?
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Claus take as many vacations as they can. This year, believe it or not, we're taking a little vacation right before Christmas so that we can rest up and get ready for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Okay.
Mrs. Claus likes to plan vacations, and she usually picks a warm place.
So after Christmas, what is the first thing you're going to do when everything is delivered when you get back to the North Pole?
Well, the first thing that Santa does is take a nice long nap. And Mrs. Claus, she makes sure that none of the elves disturb me.
Oh, yes. I'm
now,
on.
are the elves also resting, or are they already working on their next thing?
Oh, they get some time
Okay.
off. You know, all the little Christmas bonuses and things, and they go on vacations as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's part of the scheduling problem for Mrs. Claus. She has to schedule all the elves to get the jobs and the toys done, so she has to really juggle things so that they can still have time off and get things finished.
Now, I want to make sure Jack doesn't think I forgot his question, too. He's on here, too. Jack is 8, and Jack would like a dirt bike.
Well, Jack,
Good.
I think 8 years old is a little bit young for a dirt bike. You know, those are pretty heavy. Dirt bikes might weigh as much as you, Jack. And I think you better stick with jumping on your trampoline before you start working on a dirt bike.
I feel like that would help build some
I can't
pedaling
promise that you'll
muscles.
get that, but maybe someday you'll get it.
But-
And I don't know where you would ride it in your yard.
Santa's senior yard, Jack.
But Jack is very athletic, and
Okay.
he might be able to handle it.
Okay.
We'll have to see. We check in with Mom and Dad, too.
What if it's the pedal kind?
Well, the pedal kind, if you can ride that, it's good and it's okay. But I know where their house is, and there's pretty many hills near
Hills.
their house.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're going to get some good pedaling muscles if you get that in a hilly space, Jack. We also have Kaylee's wish. Kaylee is 4, and Kaylee would like to ask for Barbie dolls and a Barbie house.
Oh, that sounds like a good thing to do. Barbie houses and Barbie toys, we should have pretty many of those this year. So there's a good chance that there'll be one of those under your Christmas tree.
Okay. That's good to hear. They also want to make sure you know that we love you very much, Santa and Mrs. Claus.
Well, thank you very much.
That is very sweet.
Now, if you are watching this live on December 7th and you're seeing me read emails from other kids asking Santa their questions, kids age 12 and under can send me their emails. That's right, magical elf mail receptacle right here, and I can ask Santa your questions right here in the studio. And while I was saying that, I got another one.
Wow.
So, we know that you have a lot of fans, so we could do this the entire time. But let's read the next one. The next one says that Ariana says hi.
Hi, Ariana.
Ariana can't wait to see you on Sunday. And Ariana will be 22 tomorrow.
Wow, Ariana.
And
Well-
she would like some coloring books and crayons for Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I think we can do that, Ariana. Coloring books and crayons are nice toys for Christmas.
It's true. Coloring books and real Crayola crayons.
They
Real
are.
They
crayons.
just smell nice when you're coloring with them.
Yes,
See, it's like Legos. Some things you don't outgrow.
exactly.
That's right. You
And
never
that-
outgrow coloring books
No,
and Legos.
that's right.
I wonder if Ariana would like Legos too.
Oh, I don't know. She might.
I mean, she didn't specify it, so it sounds like I'm going out on a limb here. That's why you're in charge of knowing and not me.
That's right.
I just get communications, magical elf mail receptacle here. I bet you didn't know that's what email stands for. Elf mail.
Elf
I bet you
mail.
didn't know. You probably thought it was something else, but now you know. Well, we're still getting more messages here, and so we're going to wait and see if more of those come through. But I want to make sure that we have a chance to cover some of the other things that people ask about. One of them is every year people are putting cookies out for Santa. Do you like it when people put cookies out for Santa? Are there other things they should be putting out? We figured this is a good time to find this out.
Well, if you look at this, you can tell that Santa likes cookies. Cookies and milk are some of Santa's favorite things. Santa likes other things too, and occasionally, when he gets back to the North Pole, he'll have a little sip of brandy, but most of all, he loves cookies and milk.
Okay, so that's the main thing. People should leave. Is there a specific?
Oh, and don't forget the carrots for the reindeer.
That was my other question. Yes.
That's important.
Absolutely. So is there other things the reindeer like to eat?
There's mixtures. They have like little reindeer food that you can put out.
Okay.
And yes.
Is it helpful to sprinkle the reindeer food in the snow or in your yard to help the reindeer when they get to your house, or is it better to leave it on the plate with the Santa cookies?
Well, I always find it on the plate and take it back outside to the reindeer. We don't let the reindeer in the house because they might go wild and mess up the house. So we could carry the carrots or the lettuce or the reindeer food. We can carry that back out to the reindeer. And they're so glad to see me when I come out of the house.
That is real. I'm sure all the parents are really glad that the reindeer don't come in the house.
Yes,
Oh,
for
what
sure.
a mess that would make.
That would be, you'd find a different kind of present on Christmas morning, maybe?
Of course,
That wouldn't be great. That would not be great.
not working that way.
So is there a favorite kind of cookie that you'd like to put in a request for?
Well, I always have my favorites, but really I like all types of cookies. Mrs. Claus makes me chocolate chip cookies a lot, and she makes me oatmeal raisin cookies. I like those a lot.
Oh, that's good.
But Santa's been known to eat any type of cookie,
Okay.
any type.
So whatever kind of cookie.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. He loves every kind of cookie that's ever been made.
So Mrs. Claus, is there a kind of cookie you would be preferring that we leave for him?
Well, he mentioned lettuce. And that's not fair. He does love his cookies, and he's very busy on Christmas Eve, and that's what he needs, energy. And that energy that from believing and from your cookies. Keep them going.
And Santa, I have to tell you, when Santa works on Christmas Eve, he doesn't always wear this uniform with the fluffy white fur on it. Sometimes if he eats his cookies, they'd get stuck in the fur. So he's got different uniforms and bibs that he wears when he's working on Christmas Eve.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good. And I'm glad we got to talk about that. That's true. The cookies are energy. Don't pick on Santa for needing cookies. He needs a lot of energy. If we do the math, and people have done the math, on how many houses you are going to in one night, that's a lot of energy.
What a number of houses. What a number of houses.
So I do have another emailed question. Tony would like to know if you work with the Three Wise Men in Latin America because they leave gifts. Do you partner with them?
We partner sometimes with the Three Wise Men, but Santa's getting kind of old, and I think the Three Wise Men are a little bit younger than Santa. Not much, but a little bit. And they work a little faster. But sometimes I help cover areas that they can't cover. And they come up here and help me sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, we all work together. It's the spirit of Christmas that makes everybody happy and everybody working together.
That's good. So it's a partnership. And I'm glad that's good. That's a great question, Tony.
Very
If
nice.
you are watching, we're about halfway through. So if you're watching this program when we're live on December 7th and you want to email your question in, we're getting a lot of questions answered here tonight. You can email it to santa@waycross.org. That's only when we're live on December 7th. And I will get your question right here on this magical elf mail receptacle. You wish you had one at home, didn't you? But this one is a special one. It only gets Santa emails. And I can ask them right here in the studio for you. So let's ask another question here. I have been asked, how important is it that the kids are in bed when you get there?
Well, that's a big thing with Santa. Santa likes the children all to go to bed as early as possible because Santa can't hit the same house at the same time, or all the houses at the same time, all the time. So you got to make sure that you're not awake when you see Santa. You may hear him, but it's better not to be awake. And you can't really see the sleigh and the reindeers because they're magical and they move so fast. The only way you can see the sleigh and the reindeers is if you watch on NORAD. I think it's NORAD they tape me going across the world and they tell you where I'm at.
Okay, so you can get a little clue, but that's not going to be close enough to say if they're on your block.
Nope. You won't
Okay.
get any exact clues to tell you exactly
Okay.
where I'm at, but you'll have an idea. And when I said earlier, when Santa comes down here, he leaves his sleigh in the park, and he gets a ride in a car from the park to here, because you just can't land that sleigh anyplace.
Okay.
It has to be either a nice roof or a big yard or a park.
So they're not going to necessarily see your sleigh. If they don't hear bells or see a sleigh, that doesn't mean you're not in the neighborhood.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. So what happens if you get to a house and the kids are not in bed?
Well, that's real frustrating for Santa most of the time when that happens. Santa has a way of trying to double back to the location to make sure that the Christmas presents and the Santa's presents get to the house, but sometimes he's a little late in the morning.
Okay. So if you want Santa to stay on schedule,
Yeah, it helps a lot if you get to bed early, then Santa stays on schedule.
okay. Okay. So it's pretty important, it sounds like.
It is. It's very
Okay.
important.
We do have a follow-up email from Henry and David and Clara. They want to know if you know the Tooth Fairy.
Well, we both know the Tooth Fairy, and sometimes we bump into each other when we're out delivering toys at Christmas, because it's been known that the Tooth Fairy can sometimes hit the same house at the same time that we get there. So we know who the Tooth Fairy is.
So if you lose your tooth on Christmas or on Christmas Eve, you might be heading to the same house.
There's a possibility that the Tooth Fairy could run into Santa and Santa could meet at the same house.
So
Doesn't happen every year, but sometimes it happens.
I'm just going to say go to bed, kids, because it sounds like it's going to be really trafficky and busy in some of these neighborhoods, because we could have the Tooth Fairy, we could have the Kings helping out, we could have Santa and the reindeer moving around. There's a lot going on. They just need you to be out of the way and in bed.
Very,
It
very
sounds,
busy.
sounds like it's a pretty busy time.
Very busy.
So what happens if the weather is really bad? I'm sure you have to watch the weather very closely for that one night and have all kind of contingency plans. What are some of the things you have to keep an eye out for?
Well, we watch the weather extremely closely, and what we try to do is we try to work around the weather.
Okay.
If the weather's real bad in one area, we might go to the south and hit that area first where the weather's nice. If it snows, that doesn't bother Santa. And if it's raining, it's kind of bad, and foggy. You know who helps when it's foggy? Rudolph is always there to help when it's foggy. So we do have different schedules that we can keep, but most of all, we get pretty lucky and we can make our way through the evening.
Okay. Can you remember? Of course, we all know about one time when the weather was really bad, and there's a whole song about it. I even have a red nose to remind us about that.
Right.
Are there any other times you can remember that the weather looked like it might be a problem?
I think sometimes when you get into the tropical areas, you get a lot of wind, and the wind sometimes makes the reindeer slow down. Same thing could happen up in the north when you get a snow blizzard, and if the snow and the wind is hard, it makes the reindeer work a little bit harder.
I asked you already what your favorite cookies are. I'm wondering if you have any favorite Christmas movies. A lot of us are getting into the mood by watching all our favorite Christmas movies. Do you have favorites?
Go ahead, Mrs. Claus.
I like Charlie Brown and some of the shows that are on. I love to watch, and they're short enough that you can get to bed on time and get to school when you need to. And some of the movies are very long, and I think the adults probably would like those better. And some of the others are shorter and better for children. Yeah.
I like two movies. One real old, The Miracle on 42nd Street, I think. I think I got that right. I may have it wrong, but I'm close. And the other one is a relatively new movie. It's probably been out quite a while, called Elf. Elf is not really realistic, but it's a funny representation of what people think Christmas is about. And it just puts a good feeling in your heart to know that people are having fun in that movie.
It is.
That is a really
That's
fun.
fun.
It's a
Yes.
fun movie.
And that is a movie that really shows you the whole having to believe, which is helpful for that. It helps people see how that works.
Exactly. I love it. Yes.
But the work culture maybe doesn't look exactly like it does at the North Pole?
No.
Okay.
No,
Good to know.
not the same at all.
Okay. Good to know. That's good to know. Do you have favorite Christmas songs?
Well, I know what Mrs. Claus's favorite Christmas song is, so I'll let her go first.
Yes, I like I'll Be Home for Christmas. I love some of the old, I guess they're pretty old now, very old songs now. And what were some of the others that you...
My favorite song has always been, since it came out, is White Christmas. I just love White Christmas.
We do.
It's sung so many different ways by so many different people, and it just brings in the spirit of the holiday with the White Christmas song.
Do you like hearing a Christmas song sung in new ways? Because there's always some new way that someone records one.
Oh, yes, yes. Jingle Bells has been a favorite. We've heard many different versions, and love them all. Love them all.
Yeah, they do a pretty good job at making some of the old songs sound new. It's pretty interesting.
Are there any Christmas songs that you don't like?
I cannot say that there are any I don't like.
I'm thinking about a song about a reindeer.
Is it a funny song?
Oh.
There's a funny song about Grandma got
That's
run over
funny.
by a reindeer.
Yes, it's
And,
a funny.
you know, it's funny, but our reindeer would never do that. Our reindeer. But it is a funny song.
I felt like we should clear it up because
That's right.
people might be hearing that song at
Yes.
Christmas and might be worried that the reindeer are out running amok. And I figured that it might be worth bringing up just so that we can reassure people.
Reindeer are under control.
Okay.
They definitely are.
Okay. All right. That's important. Thank you for being willing to talk about it. But you're right. It is a funny
It's
song.
a funny song.
What
but
can we do?
Oh, true.
But it's not real. The reindeer would never run over Grandma. So that's important. I'm glad we covered that. What are the kind of favorite things you like to do when you're not doing Santa jobs, when you get those vacations?
Well, Santa's favorite thing to do is to lay on the beach, watch the waves, and listen to the waves, and read a nice book. And some of the time, Mrs. Claus will tell you, some of the time Santa makes it through probably at least a page and a half of that book before he falls asleep.
Yes. The sun makes him so tired.
So are you still working on the same book you've been bringing for your post-Christmas vacations years ago?
I think I've had it 2 or 3 years now.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
He eventually gets through. Everybody
Okay.
loves to read, I know. We love to.
While I was asking you that question, we did get an email from Chip, and Chip was wondering where you were going to relax after Christmas. So he has the same kind of questions that I have here.
We have 2 places that we picked. One of them is on the Gulf Coast of Florida, and the other one is we might go down and see the children in the beaches in, was it Cancun, Mexico?
Mexico, yes, yeah. We're torn between. We're not sure where we're going yet.
All right, so we're not sure yet. Good to
Not
know. Okay.
But see, we can make plans last minute, which is good.
And I feel like you're
Everybody-
probably busy planning other things right now.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
We're in December. I mean, this is go month.
This is busy.
Okay, all right. There must not be a lot of time. I'm still amazed that you are willing to come and spend the evening in our studio. And it means so much to us at Waycross because this is go month. I know that.
Well, work's extremely important, but you have to relax and prepare for the next day of work. You can't work 24 hours a day. You'd fall over. So you have to every evening, and this is relaxation for us. This is very relaxing.
And it's so much fun
Oh, I'm so
talking
glad.
with the children or listening to their questions. And yeah, we love it.
Thank you for all of you who have sent in a question so far. We're clearing around to the end of the hour, but we still have time for a few more. If you want to email at santa@waycross.org, That's only if you're watching while we're live on December 7th. Then you can do that. But we still have a little more time. So I was going to ask you, we've talked about what toys are hot this year and what the kids are wanting this year. I was wondering the kind of toys that you each played with when you were little.
Well, when Santa was little, that was a long, long time ago. And we used to have things that we rolled across the yard. Things, I think it looked like a hula hoop, but I think it was really a part of an old wagon wheel or part of a barrel stave. Not a barrel stave, but a barrel ring. And we used to take a stick and roll those across the yard. And I don't think that's a very exciting toy anymore. But for us, it was a lot of fun. See who could take it the farthest. Mrs. Claus, she had dolls, didn't you?
Oh, I had a lot of doll babies, and I love all the doll babies we had. I also loved books and always got books at Christmas so I could read throughout the year. And just had all puzzles were another thing, and board games. We used to play a lot of games like Monopoly and all those games that you have still that a lot of children, Chutes and Ladders and all the fun toys. We had those back then. Yeah.
And some of those are games that kids are still playing with.
Still playing.
Santa, I will tell you, I did teach some children just last weekend how to use one of those rolling hoops.
You did?
So there are
good.
still, they had
Wonderful.
never used one though.
Oh,
You're
how
right. They hadn't
wonderful.
seen one in a while, but
Yes.
we got a good competition going.
Santa's favorite game's not Chutes and Ladders, because every time that Mrs. Claus and Santa plays, guess who wins? Not Santa. Not Santa.
Okay, so Santa's good at a lot of things, but maybe not Chutes and Ladders.
Not Chutes and Ladders.
He always loses gracefully. He never gets angry when he loses because in any game there's going to be a winner and somebody that didn't win. So we don't take it too seriously.
Do you think practicing being a graceful or good sport or graceful at losing is one of those things to help you stay on the nice list?
Exactly.
For all those
Yes.
kids that are trying to figure that out right now?
I think that is. When something doesn't go your way, if you get all stubborn and you get mean and you sulk and you're not having a good time and you want to pout, that just doesn't do anything to keep you off the naughty list. If you're happy and love people and be very courteous to them, then you got a chance of being good all the time.
I feel like that's stubborn, and I feel like you could have just said my name. I feel like, okay, I admit it. It's me. It's me. You just told everyone. No. So we're sitting here with a few Christmas decorations. I'm wondering if at the North Pole, as busy as it is at this time of year, do you decorate for Christmas?
We have a lot of decorations up for Christmas, and Santa Claus is good at getting the decorations out, but he's not as good about putting them up. Mrs. Claus, she puts all the decorations up. And you know what she makes me do? Every time I go someplace that she's never been, she makes me bring a Christmas ornament back.
Exactly. I love Christmas ornaments, and we have a lot of trees in the house, so there's plenty use for all the decoration.
Do decorations stay up all year at the North Pole because it's the North Pole, or do they have a time where they have to go away?
No, we keep them up all year, but we change decorations too.
Oh, okay.
We change them up for different decorations, yeah.
So it's not just one set of decorations that could put up 200 years ago,
No,
and they're still there.
we change, we change.
Okay, good.
One time Santa wanted to put up a Halloween Christmas tree, and Mrs. Claus says, no, you can't do that.
I feel like that's just mixing everything.
Not at Christmas.
She wouldn't
I
let
let
me
them
do
do that at Halloween.
Oh,
That's
okay.
different. And Easter, we can have
Okay.
a tree with the Easter bunny things. Yeah. So
I mean,
we
you have
enjoy.
trees already at the North
Yes,
Pole.
yeah.
Why not multi-purpose?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's good to know. So they change seasonally.
Yes.
Okay, but they're always there.
Yes.
Okay.
Always up.
One of my favorite trees, and I see this in a lot of churches when I go there, they have what they call giving trees. I don't know if you run into those giving trees, but you go into church or you go into a community center and you take a name off of the giving tree and it says something that those people's name that was on the giving tree. You don't know their real name, but the tags are matched up with real names by the people that run the organization. And you buy the Christmas present and you take that back to the place where you got the thing, and it's a giving tree. It's for people that don't get everything that they really want.
We have, Leslie, your email got just in time. We have another email that just squeaked in, and I'm glad you said that about the giving tree because I want to come back to that. Hopefully we'll have time. Leslie has a tough question for you. Leslie says, how old are you, and who was Santa before you, and how do you get enough wrapping paper?
Well, Santa is extremely old, and it goes all the way back to like 300 AD when Santa first started out as St. Nicholas. And St. Nicholas gave presents and stuff. He was a rich guy, and he gave presents to the needy people. And through the years, it's been carried on by different people. And St. Nick has gotten different names in different countries, and they all do the same thing. They bring presents to people, and they bring happiness to people. That's what Christmas is all about. The spirit of loving, the spirit of giving, and the spirit of happiness. And the second part of the question, where does he get all the wrapping paper? Well, we have a group that makes wrapping paper, don't we?
We certainly, all the elves have different jobs, and some of the elves make paper and do the decorating, and so we never run out.
Okay. So that answers that question.
Well, sometimes we don't even wrap the presents from Santa. We just put them under the tree so that when the children come down, they can see them and be so excited.
Yep.
And when that happens, their parents get to sleep a little longer.
That's right.
So that's a really great thing too. That's really helpful. Thank you for your question, Leslie. That was really great. And I want to come back to the fact that that's another reference to the giving. And there are a lot of ways that people can get to be Santa a little bit in their own world. And there are a lot of places that are collecting toys or collecting coats. St. Vincent de Paul has a coat drive. And there's Nate's Toy Box right over in Coleraine. And there's all kinds of places collecting toys. And like you said, there's trees at different churches have them, different YMCAs have them. There's lots of places that you can just call up and ask them, hey, you guys got a giving tree? We need an ornament. We need to go buy something for someone else.
Well, it's the spirit of giving. Mrs. Claus, do you want to talk a little bit about the spirit of Christmas in general? I've said a few things, but I think you need to say something.
Well, I spoke before about the spirit of giving is, and the believing and wanting to give is what keeps Santa as a person that you can rely on, because we all need something. And I'll tell you what, mostly mommy and daddies and grandmas and grandpas, the only thing they ever asked for is hugs. They loved a hug. And I think that's another way that the children can get in the spirit of giving. Make sure they give mom and dad and their Nana and Papa a hug whenever they see them.
I think every Mima and Nana and mom and dad and everybody else in that category would always be willing to accept hug presents. And that is a present that even little kids can get, even if they can't go to the store and buy presents.
Hugs and a smile. It doesn't cost anything to give a hug and a smile.
That's fantastic. I want to take 1 minute, because we're wrapping really close to the end. This went so quickly. I don't know if you know this, Santa, because this is just a little amount of time in your world, but this is a big amount of time for Waycross. This year is Waycross's 40th anniversary.
The anniversary.
And we've been coming here half those years?
You've been coming here
over
so many of those years.
Yes.
So because of that, and obviously you don't need these at Christmas time, but I have 40th anniversary t-shirts for you.
Wow.
So you can wear them when you're on the beach.
Oh, yes.
And you can
Thank
have your
you.
Waycross 40th anniversary t-shirts. Here, let's
They're
unfold one
beautiful.
so we can see
Oh,
this
I
is a
love
real
it.
t-shirt. And we want to make sure that we give you a present because you're giving everyone else a present.
thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much. We certainly appreciate that. Their blue is so beautiful.
It is. I have to give credit for the color of these shirts to our director, and I think you may, of course, you know all of the people from when they were
Yes.
little kids and you were bringing
Yes,
them
of
presents.
course.
But our director Chip picked out
And
that nice color.
one other little thing, if I got time,
Yes.
with David and Harry, if you're still watching, I remember when your mom and dad, Chris and Laura, were little kids just like you, 6 years old. I remember that.
I mean, when we talk about the memory of Santa, are we talking generations of people
Oh.
remembering them as little kids
Way back.
and the things that they wanted for Christmas?
For decades.
I think I can vaguely remember David and Harry's Grandpa Terry.
Okay.
Yeah, I can remember him when he was real little. And he's got to be 80 years old now.
Okay. Not a little boy anymore.
No.
No. Well, I want to really thank you for coming in. It's always a pleasure to have you in the studio, and it's great to be able to help so many of these kids get their questions answered. I wish you luck in all of your busy Christmas jobs that you have coming up this month. And I also want to thank you for watching. Many of you sent in your questions, and that means you were part of this program too. Thank you very much. And we will see you the next year when we have Santa in our studio. So Merry Christmas.
Thank
Merry
you. Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Ho, ho, ho.
Thank you for
We'll
having
see you
us.
Christmas Eve.